Join us. You most recently heard Rick on this show as the author of Wicked Game, an insider story on how Trump won, Mueller failed, and America lost. Wicked Game is one of the best reads of 2020. And now Rick is back. Rick chaired the Trump Inauguration Committee, or was the executive director of it in 2017. Rick, what was your official title 4 years ago?
Sure, it's good to be with you. It's Deputy Chairman of the 58th Inaugural Committee.
So this must be a bit of deja vu and also completely different. I just want to give you the floor. What is different and what is going to happen tomorrow? My wife asked me last night, and I said I actually have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a bittersweet moment. Obviously, for us in 2017, having just won the 2016 election, there's a lot of euphoria. It was the first time we had the opportunity to feel like we were uniting the country, plowing ahead, and doing the work the President Trump's agenda. 2021, much different. Obviously, the Capitol being circled by 25,000 National Guard troops, the city under lockdown. It's a much different feel. But the important thing is that the inauguration is happening. We followed our constitutional process. This is the last step in that. And the important thing is the world is watching. This is the single most powerful visual of the peaceful transfer of power. So it's absolutely important that it's done. It will be much different. They are shutting down the mall, so there won't be a lot of people in attendance watching it. But I suspect a lot of people will be watching it on TV. And certainly a number of the traditional events that are usually occurring on the inaugural day will certainly not happen. And I think that's an unfortunate consequence of both COVID and the security concerns around the 2021 inauguration.
Let's talk about the similarities. What of the traditional logistical rituals are going to happen besides the swearing in Rick Gates?
Absolutely. And it's the first and foremost, the church service at the beginning of the morning on the day of inauguration. That's one of the most symbolic moments where a president, his family, his close friends are there in attendance. And presidents have done it, from the beginning of time in terms of the United States. Tomorrow, the difference, Joe Biden will be doing it from St. Matthew's Church. Most of the presidents do it from St. John's Church right across the street from the White House. Obviously, given the tumultuous time in D.C., that element's been changed. But the fact that they are going to church, I think, is a good move.
St. Matthew's, by the way, is where the Pope visited. It's a beautiful church at the corner of Connecticut Avenue and Rhode Island Avenue, I believe. It's a great place. It can accommodate a lot more than St. John's, in fact.
Oh, absolutely. St. John's, there wasn't a great ability to accommodate a lot of people, but that was part of the special, time. It was a absolute, special moment of just kind of celebrating the inauguration, but focusing, on what brought our country together and God being the, centerpiece of that. So, and I suspect that, the Biden ceremony will be very much, the service will be very much, similar, although a bit smaller. I will say one noticeable difference will be the attendance of, Speaker McCarthy, Minority Leader McCarthy and Mitch McConnell are both attending as of now that ceremony. Obviously, in 2017, we didn't have any Democrats willing to take that plunge and do that for us.
Oh, interesting. So when does the president-elect go to there's not going to be the visit to the White House in the morning. They're not riding up together. That's a break with the past. What will the president-elect do after St. Matthew's? Go directly to the Capitol?
Yeah, absolutely. So they go back to the Blair House for a period, and then from there they will head up to the Capitol, where he will, basically hang out in the Speaker's office. There's one interesting facet that I learned very quickly in 2017. Constitutionally, our president has to be sworn in at noon on January 20th. There is a joint committee, a bipartisan committee that organizes. Most people don't understand that the incoming presidential team has nothing to do with the actual swearing in ceremony. It is all directed and led by Congress and congressional officials. So, in that regard, if a president elect were to be late, for that ceremony and not be sworn in at 12 noon promptly, the Succession Act would actually kick in. So there was a moment in time where we had to inform, President-elect Trump that if he were to be late, he might not be the 45th president, but it might be the 46th president. So I assume, Mr. Biden will be given that same advice. But yes, that ceremony occurs right promptly at noon. And then from there, Hugh, what we know about Biden is that he will go to lay a wreath with several of the families, former presidents at Arlington National Cemetery. There'll be a brief review of the armed forces, which is a tradition that will occur. And both now president and vice president will review the armed forces marching by. At that point, they'll go lay the wreath and then back to the White House, where he will assume the office, the Oval Office, at that first moment in time.
Now, the big thing, Rick, and we got about 3.5 minutes here, is that inaugural night has always been a night of parties and celebration. Is that happening this year?
It is, but it's a little different. Obviously, everything is virtual, so I think that's going to be interesting to see how that works. But normally, a president will have a series of balls. George W. Bush had 8, I believe. Donald Trump had 3. We had 2 main balls, and then we had the military ball, which is kind of a tradition. It's my understanding that the Biden team is going to be doing a virtual concert hosted by Tom Hanks and having performances by a number of notable singers, musicians, and other celebrities. That is definitely a break with tradition. I think it will lose that kind of special moment when, after the swearing in, it's a time of celebration. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out virtually. I am glad that everything is being televised. I tell people one of the greatest moments in time was being able to serve, on inaugural activities, and certainly for an inaugural committee. And I would encourage anybody to take the chance and do it, because it is, both a humbling and reverent moment in terms of understanding how our government works. And at the end of the day, what it is all designed for, and that is to display the peaceful transfer of power and the strength of the American democracy around the world.
Now, by the time he gets back to the White House, 3 o'clock, everything will have been changed, correct?
Absolutely. That's another little point that most people don't understand. The White House staff is responsible for removing every fixture furniture from the outgoing president and replacing it for the incoming president. And that could, mean as much as painting walls, obviously changing desks, chairs, statues, whatever is desired by the incoming president. All that has to be done within relatively a short period of time. Usually, it's no more than 5 hours. So the White House staff is certainly one of the busiest at the moment on Inauguration Day, and it's certainly a race to time to make sure they get everything done.
Now, Rick, I just have a prediction game with you. There are typically 3 presidential portraits in the Oval. I believe that Joe Biden will pick President Obama, President Kennedy, and President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. What do you predict?
So FDR, absolutely. Kennedy, no question. I'm wondering about the third one, though. I don't think it will necessarily be Obama. I'm going back a little further, and possibly one of the architects, the founding fathers, perhaps Jefferson or Adams.
But that, of course, brings in the fact that they enslaved people. Adams didn't, but Adams was a Federalist, more likely to be a Republican. I think FDR and, I mean, Truman is a possibility too, but you've got to get a modern president to avoid the controversy that comes with an old president.
The problem with Obama's portrait is that, his legacy would in some impact overshadow Biden's potential presidency. And I think part of what he did during the campaign certainly was try to establish who he is as his own individual person. So it will be interesting to see if Obama gets up. Certainly he's still around, so if we don't see his portrait, we will certainly see his face on TV a lot.
He'll be there tomorrow along with President Bush, correct?
Yes, President Bush is attending, as is President Clinton.
How about Vice President Cheney?
Pence.
Is Vice President Cheney coming?
No, it's my understanding he is not coming, and nor did he come to President Trump's inauguration.
Rick Gates, you are the guy who knows this better than anybody, who's not on the